So let me ask you a question. If I handed you $100 today and told you to put it in a jar for 20 years, 20 years from now, you'd still have $100. But here's the real question. What will that $100 actually buy? Will it buy the same amount of groceries, gas, housing, healthcare, travel? Probably not. And that is what today's conversation is really about. Welcome to day number 19 of 30 days of gold and silver. And today we're talking about gold, inflation, and purchasing power. And by the end of this video, I want you to stop thinking only about how many dollars you have and start thinking about what those dollars can actually buy. So yesterday we talked about why some people, not some people, some wealthy families and investors may choose to include gold within a broader wealth strategy. And we introduced this framework: create, grow, preserve, and transfer. Create income, grow assets, preserve what you built, transfer wealth and knowledge forward. And today's lesson is about that third word, preserve, because accumulating more dollars is only part of the equation. You also have to understand what can happen to their purchasing power over time. So inflation, what is inflation? And I want to keep this simple. Inflation generally refers to a broad increase in prices across the economy over time. So as the overall price level rises, each dollar generally purchases fewer goods and services. And let's say something costs $10 today. Years later, that same or comparable item might cost $12, $15 or more. The dollar didn't disappear, its purchasing power changed. And that's why I want you to remember this. A dollar amount and purchasing power are not the same thing. And you've probably experienced this before too as well. You don't need really an economics degree to understand inflation. Just think about everyday life. Think about what you remember paying years ago for eggs, gas, a restaurant meal, rent or housing, a vehicle, a movie ticket, a hotel room. Some prices have increased much more than others, and some occasionally fall. But over a longer period of time, the general price level in the United States has tended to rise. That's why people say things like a dollar doesn't buy what it used to. That's purchasing power. Now, don't misunderstand me. Cash is important. As I always say, cash is still important. I mean, we've talked about this repeatedly. You need liquidity, emergency savings, money for bills, short-term expenses, opportunities. Cash has a job, but cash also has a long-term consideration: inflation. If you return your earning on your money, doesn't keep pace with inflation. Your purchasing power can decline over time. So the question is cash bad? No. The better question is, what job is this money supposed to perform? Now, a point to be taken is, where does gold enter the conversation? And this is the one reason people have historically been interested in gold. Gold has been valued across civilizations for thousands of years, as we've talked about in the past. And unlike a currency unit that can be created through a monetary system, the supply of physical gold is constrained by geology, mining economics, and existing above ground stocks. So some investors view gold as a potential long-term store of value. But here's where I want to be extremely careful. That does not mean gold perfectly tracks inflation. If inflation is 4%, Gold doesn't automatically rise 4%. If inflation jumps tomorrow, gold doesn't have to rise tomorrow. Markets simply don't work that neatly. So you'll hear people say gold is an inflation hedge. And I think that statement needs context. Gold's relationship with inflation can depend heavily on the time period that you're measuring. So, over certain long periods, gold has prepared substantial purchasing power. But over shorter periods, its price can move very differently from consumer inflation. So gold can fall while inflation is elevated, and gold can rise when inflation is relatively low. Why? Because gold is influenced by more than inflations. It's in things such as like interest rates, real estate rates, real interest rates, currency movements, investor expectations, central bank demand, geopolitical uncertainty, market sentiment, and supply and demand. So remember, gold is not an inflation thermometer. And here's a concept I want everybody watching this series to understand: nominal versus real. Suppose hypothetically an investment grows by 5%, right? Sounds great. But suppose inflation over the same period is 3%. Your purchasing power didn't increase by the full 5%. So, in simple terms, we can think of your inflation adjusted or real return as being roughly 2% before considering other factors, right? That's simplified math, but the principle matters. So, don't just ask how much did my money grow, ask how much did my purchasing power grow? And this next point is I think is the wealth building shift. And I think this changed the way I think about money. A lot of us were taught work, earn, save. And don't get me wrong, I think saving is absolutely important, but long-term wealth, if you're building it, introduces another question. What do I own? Do I own assets that have potential to grow? Do I own productive assets? Do I have diversification? Do I have sufficient liquidity? Do I own anything designed to potentially preserve value? And that's a much bigger conversation than simply, how much money is sitting in my account. So this is one reason my thinking about wealth has evolved. I'm interested in creating more income. I'm interested in building businesses. I'm interested in investing. I'm interested in gold and silver. But the bigger goal isn't simply make more dollars. It's build more financial capacity, create income, own assets, understand purchasing power, diversify intelligently, build something that can potentially last. But if my income doubles, but everything I want to buy becomes dramatically more expensive, I need to understand that equation too. So here is today's wealth principle. Don't measure wealth only in dollars. Measure it in purchasing power. And here's an easy way to think about it. 20 years from now, I don't simply want more numbers on a screen. I want those numbers to represent the ability to live, give, invest, travel, help my family, create opportunities, and build a legacy. And this is what purchasing power represents. Let's bring it to my next point. So, should you go buy gold because of inflation? Not automatically. And I want to make that crystal clear. Learning about inflation erodes purchasing power does not mean go put all your cash into gold. Remember everything that we've learned so far. You need liquidity. You need emergency savings. You need productive assets. You may have debt. You need diversification, and your financial circumstances matter Gold may potentially be one component of a broader strategy. One asset should not become your entire financial plan. So let's recap. Number one, inflation can reduce the purchasing power of money over time. Number two, what matters isn't only how many dollars you have, it's what those dollars can buy. Number three, cash remains important for liquidity and short-term needs. Number four, gold has historically been viewed by some investors as a potential long-term store of value. Number five, gold does not perfectly track inflation. Number six, understand the difference between nominal returns and real inflation adjusted returns. And finally, don't just count your money, understand its purchasing power. Now, I want to hear from you today. Where have you personally noticed inflation the most? Is it A, groceries, B, housing, C, gas or transportation, D, insurance, E, restaurants and entertainment? Drop A, B, C, D, E, or F in the comments. And F is for everything too. I love to see what everybody is feeling it. And if you'd like to learn more about physical gold and silver and explore the platform that I personally use, you can visit the link in the description. But remember, don't buy gold simply because somebody scared you about inflation. Learn first, understand what you own, understand pricing, understand premiums and spreads, understand storage, understand liquidity, understand delivery, understand the risk. Then determine whether precious metals belongs within your broader financial strategy. And if you're enjoying 30 Days of Gold and Silver, hit like, subscribe, share this video with someone who really needs to understand the difference between money and purchasing power. Because tomorrow, we're talking about another powerful subject. Day 20, we're talking about why silver could matter in the future. Solar energy, electronics, vehicles, technology, industrial demand. Silver isn't simply sitting inside vaults, it's being used. So tomorrow, we're going deeper into silver's industrial story. I'll see you in day 20. But before I go, I want to leave you with a closing thought in this 30 Days of Gold and Silver series for day number 19. The goal isn't simply to have more dollars tomorrow. The goal is to build assets, income, and financial knowledge that really help preserve your ability to live the life those dollars are supposed to provide. Guys, I want to thank you for watching day number 19. I look forward to you in day number 20. Again, this is Billy B. Josie III, President and CEO of Stoneleaf Ventures, LLC, where we help everyday people create generational wealth and legacy through gold and silver and digital marketing. God bless you, and I'll see you guys in day number 20. Talk to you soon.